the choice that changed everything. Many years ago, when I was young, I was not always a good man. My life was full of lies and tricks. I took money from people who trusted me. I told them stories that were not true or honest. I smiled at them and promised help or hope. But inside, I only wanted to take what they had. I cared about no one, only myself and my own gain. Each day I woke up with one goal in my mind. I wanted to fool someone new and take something from them. I dressed well and acted kind and polite. I said the right words to make people feel safe. Then I took their things and walked away smiling. It was easy, and I did it again and again without care. That was the way I lived for many years. I worked with others who were like me, maybe even worse. We met in dark places and shared our plans in secret. We made fake papers and used fake names to hide. We talked about new ways to trick people and win. We laughed when it worked and made fun of the victims. We thought we were smart, clever, and strong. But that feeling never lasted very long. I had nice clothes and many phones. I stayed in hotels and ate fine food. I went to new places and met many people. But still, I felt nothing inside my heart. No joy, no peace, no real smile. I was empty and cold most of the time. I thought more money could fix it, but it never did. One night, I looked at my face in the mirror. My eyes looked tired, old, and dark. I saw a stranger looking back at me. I asked myself, "Who are you now?" But I had no answer to give. I stood there for a long time and said nothing. I felt something cold deep in my chest that night. Later, I walked alone in the city streets. The roads were quiet and the lights were soft and low. I watched the sky and the stars, but I felt small. I thought about my life and all my wrongs. I remembered the people I hurt with my lies. I felt like a shadow with no real place. I could not run away from it anymore. I sat on a bench near a quiet shop. People walked by, laughing and talking. Some held hands and some ate snacks. I looked at their faces, full of life and light. They looked real, and I did not. I felt like I was outside of the world. I wanted to feel like them again. That night something changed deep inside me. I saw the truth for the first time. I saw the pain I caused. I felt weak, but I also felt human again. I wanted a new life with peace and meaning. It was the first step on a long road, but that step was real, and real was better than rich. The next morning, I woke up early. I looked at the ceiling and did not move. My body felt heavy, and my heart felt cold. I did not want to start the day. I did not want to lie again. I stayed in bed and thought about my life. For the first time, I felt tired of everything. I did not want this life anymore. I went outside and walked for hours. I had no plan and no place to go. I just walked and looked at people. Some were going to work, some were laughing, and some looked tired. I watched them all and felt like a stranger. I was part of the world, but I was not really living. I was just passing through each day. I sat in a park and watched a boy play. He had a red ball and ran with joy. His mother smiled and clapped her hands. The boy laughed and fell on the grass. I watched him and felt something move inside me. That small boy looked so happy and free. I wanted to feel like that again one day. I thought about my childhood. I was once a good boy. I loved to draw and play with my brother. We did not have much, but we had fun. We ran in the streets and made up games. I remembered my mother's soft voice and my father's strong hands. That life felt far away, like a dream I forgot. Somewhere along the way I changed. I became cold and hard. I stopped caring about others. I stopped caring about myself. I only wanted money and power. I thought that would make me happy, but it didn't. It only made me more empty, more lost, and more alone with each passing day. I walked back to my small room. I sat on the floor and looked at my things. Fake papers, phones, and money were everywhere. I looked at them like they were trash. They had no meaning. I touched the money, but it felt dirty. It was not real to me anymore. It had no value without peace. That night, I could not sleep. I looked out the window and saw the moon. It was bright and high in the sky. I thought maybe I can change. I did not know how, but I wanted to try. I was scared, but also ready. I needed help. But first I had to stop lying. I had to be honest with myself. The next day I made a choice. I left my work. I broke my phone and threw away the fake papers. I called no one. I told no one. I just left. I had no money and no plan, but I felt light, like a heavy bag was gone. That was the start of something new, a hard road, but a clean one. I walked for a long time with no idea where to go. The streets were loud and people moved fast. I had no job, no phone, and no friends to call. I passed shops, buses, and busy cafes. I felt small in the big city, but I kept walking because I wanted to feel something new. I wanted to leave my old self far behind me. I found a small shelter at the edge of town. It was not clean, but it was quiet and warm. A kind man at the door gave me food and a place to sleep. He asked no questions, and I said nothing. I ate slowly and watched the others in silence. They were all so lost in their own ways. But here, I felt human again for the first time. Every morning I helped clean the floors. I picked up trash and washed dishes in the kitchen. My hands hurt, but my heart felt better. I was doing something good, even if it was small. I worked hard and spoke little. The others started to smile at me. That small change gave me hope, something I had not felt in years. One day I saw a woman crying by the stairs. Her bag was open and her things were on the ground. I bent down and helped her gather them. She looked at me with tired eyes and said, "Thank you." I nodded, not knowing what to say. It was a small moment, but it stayed in my mind. I helped someone without wanting anything back. At night, I sat alone with my thoughts. I remembered the faces of those I had hurt. I saw their eyes, full of fear and sadness. I whispered sorry, even if they could not hear me. I wanted to go back and fix it all, but I knew I could not. The past was done. I could only change what came next. The man who ran the shelter gave me a coat. It was old, but it kept me warm. He said, "You're doing good. Keep going." His words stayed with me all day. I wore that coat like it was gold, not because it looked nice, but because it was given with care. I was learning what kindness felt like, little by little. 1 week later, he asked if I wanted real work. I said yes before he could finish his sentence. It was a job at a small shop nearby. I cleaned shelves and carried boxes. It was hard work, but it was honest. I stood taller with each task I finished. I felt proud of my hands for the first time in my life. I walked home tired but calm. The sky was full of stars that night. I stopped and looked up for a long time. I thought of who I used to be and who I was becoming. I still had far to go, but I was not that same empty man anymore. Something inside me had started to grow. Weeks passed, and I kept working every day. I woke up early and walked to the shop before the sun rose. My back hurt, and my hands were rough, but I didn't complain. Each box I carried felt like a small step forward. I smiled more now, even if only a little. The man at the shop noticed and said I was doing well. Those words gave me strength to keep going without fear. One evening, I stayed late to clean the back room. I found an old photo under the shelf. It showed a family, 2 kids, and their parents smiling in front of their home. I stared at it for a long time. It reminded me of my own family, the one I had left behind long ago. I felt pain in my chest, not from work, but from memory. That night, I dreamed of my brother's laugh again. The next day, I asked the shop owner if I could work extra hours. He looked surprised, but said yes. I wanted to save money, not for fun, but for something better. I didn't know what yet, but I wanted to be ready. I still felt weak inside sometimes, but I knew I was changing. Every honest hour added a small piece back to my broken soul. I could feel it slowly. I began writing in a small notebook. I wrote about my past, my thoughts, and my hopes. The words were simple, but they helped me understand myself. I didn't write to share. I wrote to heal. I filled pages with memories I had tried to forget. Some pages made me cry. Some made me smile. But all of them were real. And for the first time, so was I. One Sunday, I went back to the park where I saw the boy with the red ball. This time, I sat with a bag of bread. I fed the birds and watched people pass by. A little girl ran by and waved at me. I waved back and laughed quietly. That small moment meant more than all the money I ever stole. I didn't feel like a thief anymore. I felt like a person with a heart. At the shelter, people started asking for my help. "Can you fix this, or will you show me how to do that?" I said yes each time. Helping them gave me peace. I didn't want power over people. I wanted to stand beside them. That feeling was new to me. I didn't expect it, but I welcomed it. I felt like I was part of something bigger now. Later that week, the man at the shelter gave me news. He said a small apartment was open for someone ready to move on. He thought I was ready. I didn't know what to say. My hands shook as I held the key. It was just a key, but it felt like a door to a new life. A room of my own. A space for silence and sleep. I thanked him with tears in my eyes. That night I opened the door to my new place. It was small and plain, but it was mine. I stood in the center and looked around. I had nothing but a bed and a chair, but it felt full of hope, full of second chances. I sat down and looked out the window. The city lights blinked like stars, and I felt calm. For the first time, I called this place home. Living alone was not easy at first. The silence felt big, and the nights felt long. I had no TV, no music, and no one to talk to. I sat in my chair and looked at the wall, but I didn't feel lost like before. I felt strong in that silence. It was my space and it was clean. I could think clearly. I could breathe without fear. That feeling was new, but it felt good. Each morning I made my own food, just bread, eggs, and tea. But it was enough. I cleaned my room before work and smiled in the mirror. I saw a man with tired eyes but honest ones. I did not see a thief anymore. I saw a man trying to live better. I walked to the shop with a light step. Life was simple, but it was full of meaning. That was all I needed now. At the shop, I worked hard and learned fast. The owner trusted me with small things first. Then he gave me more jobs to do. One day, he gave me the key to open the shop. I held it like treasure. I remembered how I once used keys to break in. Now, I used one to open a door with pride. That small key was proof that people can change. I knew I was changing. Sometimes I saw people from my old life. They walked the streets in dark clothes, still chasing lies. One of them looked at me once, but didn't say a word. I turned away and kept walking. I didn't want that life anymore. I didn't want to go back to the lies and tricks. That world had no love, only fear. I had escaped, and I had no plan to return again. One rainy afternoon, I helped an old woman carry her bags. She smiled and said, "Thank you, young man." That simple line stayed with me all day. No one had ever called me that with kindness before. I walked home wet, but warm inside. That small act made me feel more human. I wanted to be someone people could trust. I wanted to keep growing. I started reading books from the shelter library. They were simple books, but full of good thoughts. I read one page every night before sleep. The words helped me dream better. I learned about people, about kindness, about second chances. I saw pieces of myself in the stories. Each page made me stronger. Each book was a friend I never knew I needed. I saved a little money each week. It was not much, but it gave me hope. I thought about taking classes one day. Maybe I could learn a skill or finish school. I had no clear plan, but I had dreams now. That was something I never had before. I believed in my future, even if it was small. I believed I could build a new life, one honest day at a time. One night, I looked out the window and saw my reflection. I stared for a long time. The man in the glass was not rich. He was not perfect, but he was not fake. He was not lost. He was me, simple, tired, real. And for the first time, I smiled at myself. That smile was small, but it was true. I had walked far, and I was not done yet. One morning, I walked to work as the sun came up. The streets were quiet, and the air was cold. I looked at the sky and felt thankful. I had a job, a room, and a chance. That was more than I ever had before. I used to wake up with fear, but now I woke up with purpose. I didn't need much, I just needed peace, and I was starting to find it. At the shop, the owner smiled and said, "You've done well." He gave me a small raise. I didn't expect it, but I felt proud. It wasn't about money, it was about trust. That small raise meant he believed in me. I folded the bills and put them in my pocket. My hands used to take, but now they worked. That was the difference, and it mattered. Later that day, I passed a boy in the street. He looked tired and hungry. I bought him some bread and gave him a smile. He said nothing, but his eyes said, "Thank you." I walked away feeling full, not empty. I remembered when I was that boy, lost, cold, alone. I had no one then. Now I wanted to be that someone for others, even in small ways. I visited the shelter and saw old faces. Some still struggled, some had moved on. I sat and listened to their stories. I told mine too. I didn't hide the bad parts. I told them everything, and they listened without judgment. We laughed, we cried, we understood each other. That room was full of pain, but also full of hope. One evening, I wrote in my notebook again. I wrote, "I am not the man I was." I looked at those words and felt peace. My journey was not over, but I was walking the right path. Step by step, day by day, I had no clear map, but I had direction. I closed the book and looked at the stars. They were far, but they shined like a future I could reach. Now I live quietly and simply. I still work, I still help, I still grow. My life is not perfect, but it is mine. And I live it with open hands, not closed fists. I learned that change is slow, but real. I am no longer a thief in the dark. I am a man in the light, and I will keep walking, not back, not fast, just forward with heart. I hope this session was helpful. Please like and subscribe to our channel for more such interesting stories. Take care, everyone.